What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here, and today we're going to find out, did MVP create a better Berg? But before we dive in, we're going to ask the most important question of the day. How you doing today, Cadence?
So catch me if I fall.
So it is one thing to have a YouTube channel out there on the internet and to share your opinions and your thoughts and things like that. And it's another to take a strong stance against a disc that has a strong following. And here at this course, we actually made a video talking about the Berg. Do I think you should bag it? Are there other discs? And I mentioned that I think the Berg does a few things pretty well, and it feels really good in my hand. And trust me, the comments were quick to tell me, well, it's amazing how much trash he's trying to spit on the Berg when it's just going exactly where he wants. Every person that tries to talk trash about the Berg just, seems to throw it really well. Once again, I'm not out here trying to say that you shouldn't bag the Berg, but we have to talk about the fact that MVP dropped the Streamline range. The range is a very, if you told me I closed my eyes and you just handed me this disc and you said, all right, cool, what is it? I would be like, oh, it's a Berg. And I would open up my eyes and be absolutely surprised that this is not a Berg. Because even when you compare them side by side for the profile, I would say the parting line a little different I guess about the same. But yeah, depth wise, they're about the same. Maybe this a little more shallow than the actual Berg. Hand feel feels the same. And obviously the plastic type is going to be different between the two. This is a Glow Streamline Berg. I almost called it a Streamline Berg. That would have been a mistake. Glow Streamline Range. See, I'm going to make this mistake all video. But I want to get out here and see how it flies, because I will go ahead and tell you that I am looking at my Glow bag. Precious Child goes in and out of my normal bag to my Glow bag. And I would love to be able to say, hey, I take this and I bag it. Maybe I get comfortable with it. And it works its way in. I don't know. I'm going to walk in with completely open expectations and just see how does this fly. And do I think, a little comparison video, is this best for beginners? Are we getting that best for beginner stamp of approval? Let's see what the Streamline range is all about. Now, my friend Justin Hardy is much more of a MVP fanatic, and so I got him a range as well, because our town, when they hosted the space race that these came out in, I was actually out of town, so I wasn't able to participate, but we were able to snag two from our local shop. I also obviously brought a Berg alongside me. I know when I bought this, Nate was working the desk at Foundation, and he was like, I see what you're buying. I'm gonna let the world know. So here's me, letting the world know. I did buy a Berg because I realized I didn't have a premium plastic Berg. And if I'm gonna talk about the Berg, I gotta make sure that I have a good one to throw. Hole one is 220 feet uphill the whole way. I'm gonna try to see, we're gonna go with the Berg first throws of the day. Berg's up there right into circle one. So exactly what I expect out of the Berg. I can throw it wide, I can let it fade. I'm sure when they season in, they get really straight, but because I don't throw Bergs regularly, I always notice that the Berg has a decent amount of fade to it. I'm expecting this. I've heard it's a little straighter, but we're gonna try to replicate the same flight and not cheat and put any hyzer on it. Felt like we got to hold it about the same way, and it went really straight. Let's go ahead. The beauty of, since we're, like I said, less familiar with this, we have two, so we'll probably end up throwing two shots with it every single time. I can't confirm right off the bat, it is just straight, which could be really good. Okay, so right off the bat, I can already tell the comments are gonna be coming after me on this one. We'll just prep for it. But if I had a complaint about the Berg wanting to be a really straight disc, knowing that it's gonna somewhat have fade to it every single time, one thing that I really wanna test on the range is, for the range, can I get it to fade if I just put some hyzer on it? I think that's an important piece for me to really look at, because the Berg, when thrown sort of straight, it's going to fall out of the sky. Like I threw it straight and it had some fade to it, which is reliable and really good. Especially, this would feel more like watching that it was like straight pig. And this, on its initial flight, felt more like Precious Child. And if you're looking for that straight option, I think that's been one issue that I might have with the Berg. And like I said, maybe when you season them in, they get really straight. Berg nerds, let me know in the comments. I really, really love the idea of a somewhat straight disc that I can manipulate the angles on, as opposed to, I feel like if I really want something straight out of this, I almost have to throw in a little bit of an Annie, and that's fine, because if power Annie is like my straight preferred shot, I can let it kind of drift to flat. But we're gonna see here in a second, we're gonna throw on a forehand and see how the flip up nature of it goes. All right, so right here, 186 feet. It is just chilling right down there to the right. The key here is to throw a hyzer, forehand out high. You're almost kind of aiming. There's this set of bushes that are to the left of the basket. I'm almost aiming at the left side of those bushes and letting it fall to the ground there. I don't want to go too high because I don't need it to drop all the way, but maybe with the Berg or the range, they're going to drop out of the sky. That's another factor that we want to test. One thing that people love about the Berg is when it's done flying and it drops out. I want to see if the range is going to do something similar. So first forehands of the day. Okay. I really got a hold of that one. That's not a fair comparison to the Berg. I'm gonna throw these. You'll get two sets of throws here because I just don't think that that's, once again, I will admit when I'm being somewhat biased. And not even biased there. That was a bad shot and I don't think it's a fair representation of the Berg. Fascinating. Because I felt like I released some of those on hyzer and they still stood up and pushed. We're gonna go grab the disc, run it back, and we'll see you in just a brief second. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode here at George Ward Disc Golf Course called Will It Hyzer? We know the Berg's gonna hyzer because it does its thing. Let's get underneath this and give it a chance. Now, to be fair, I actually really like that line. I think that is the Berg being the Berg and just wanting to drop out of the sky. I think with a disc that had more glide, I think I can throw, I'm like so ingrained to not throw it much higher than that because I don't want it to like fade out down the hill. But I have to remember that this disc doesn't do that. We're gonna try to really scoop these. Okay, that hyzer, we just had to go on extreme. And it very similarly to the Berg did, when I didn't give it so much height, it did very similarly just kind of fall out of the sky. Okay, so to be fair, the disc kind of dropping out of the sky, if I remember correctly, I feel that way more when I'm throwing versus when I'm putting. I do think when I go back to that iceberg tournament that I played in Indianapolis, or in Bloomington, that they do drop out of the sky on some longer putts. But Berg gets the birdie. Let's see where this range is landed. One of them still inside the circle. We'll see how it does on, yeah, the uphill putt. That was the best of the bunch. So far, comparisons, it's feeling really good. It very much feels like a similar flight, similar shot options, just a lot straighter. Wonder how many times I'm gonna say that in this video, that it's the same disc, just less stable. So here's where we really want to test this. This is the straight shot. I guess it's worth noting that, you know, this one landed on the rock, so it's a little more scuffed up. Don't worry, Justin. I'll keep that one. In terms of the straight shot, we can throw sort of at that, I mean, really, if the range does what it's supposed to, I can just throw it right at it. Obviously, it gets a little dicey because just short of the basket and straight is OB, so we want to give it a little height. But I really think on this Berg, I'm going to try to give it a little bit of Anhyzer and just see. I'm gonna try. I'm probably not an island boy, but I do feel like a hyzer boy. Yep, I told you I was gonna try. I was gonna try to give it some Anhyzer, and then instead it just came out really, really flat. I mean, that's so nice. It's just so straight. That's fantastic. Okay, that one might be gone forever. But that one, I actually tried to think about my follow through coming almost down and around. So I'd be curious if Silas has like a still frame of that. I'll have to go back and watch it myself just to see. I think that I probably released it as close to flat as Robbie C's ever gonna get. And it even drifted right a little bit, and we have actually a little bit of a tailwind. So that's surprising to me. But that is very Precious Child-esque. I think the difference for me between this and Precious Child is just raw distance. It does that nice controlled, straight shot very well. If I had to give the edge on the straight shot, it's gonna go to the range just because it's not as stable. But if you're someone with a natural Anhyzer release, or you have like you don't have a ton of hyzer in your throw, then I could see if you like a little bit of Annie, the Berg probably fits you a little better than the range is gonna fit you. But if you're a hyzer guy or a hyzer gal, I think the range could be perfect. Berg, hyzered out just a little bit. Got me, really, it got me inside the circle, but just inside the circle. See, that's where I like anticipated like, oh, it's gonna drop. Not be remembering. Like, may not be remembering that disc right when it comes to putting. I want to give this one more real go at it with some forehand power, just because I know that I want to be able to give this thing some juice, and that's something that people love their Berg for, is that they can really give it juice and know that it's going to reliably do what it needs to. Because a lot of people, their stock angle that they're throwing the Berg on forehands, like flick forehands, is that Anhyzer forehand and letting it kind of like pan to flat. We don't really have that shot on this course, not at the distance that I would be throwing this. So I'm gonna try some power hyzers up over this tree and just see if we can get there. It's 200 feet to the basket, so going as high as I'm about to go, this is gonna be a full-on rip with this disc. This is too flat. Okay. I mean, we started that thing on so much hyzer. Like, we came underneath it and it immediately stood up to flat. So I do like that I can get somewhat a fade out of it. The problem is, I'm not really sure if I'm out there on the course, if I'm wanting to throw this much hyzer to get a little bit of hyzer out of the disc. That feels risky. So I'm gonna try a little more direct route instead of having to go up and over that tree. I'm gonna try to go just baby hyzer and not go so high with it. Yeah, that's gonna be my issue trying to throw that thing on forehand hyzer. I think that's where the Berg definitely gets the one up, is if you want a disc that you're trying to reliably hyzer. Now granted, I have another pig in my glow bag, so even I think that there's a very real chance this makes the glow bag, so I don't have to worry about throwing Precious Child at glow. But I would just lean on my normal pig for that slot. When you're having to go that extreme of angles to get a somewhat straight shot out of it, it creates a lot of inconsistency and lack of confidence. When we got it up and over, going that high, did what it was supposed to. So maybe that is the easier thing, is if you want more distance, it does feel like getting more distance out of the range is easier than getting it out of the Berg. Is this disc designed for range? That seems to be the question of the hour. So the last real test that we have here is, let's go Anhyzers. You've got right up the gut there. I'm gonna go Anhyzer with the Berg. We go Anhyzer with one of them, and then I'm gonna try that straight up the gut shot. Once again, we said it all video. It's a little more stable, so I expect that I don't have to give more on it. I'm going uphill 166 feet, so shouldn't necessarily be a question of power, but we'll see. That's my bad, Berg fans. I'm just like being so cautious of the like wanting to drop out of the sky. I'm throwing it high and I'm just hitting trees. So that's my bad. I am not purposely trying to slander or throw bad shots. I'm trying to adjust for, as a non-Berg thrower, what my perception of the Berg is. And it's gliding more than I'm giving it credit for. Okay, way wide. But it is important to note that it kind of stayed in it that whole time. I said I was gonna go right up the gut with this. I think that wasn't a good showing, so thankfully we have two. And I'm pretty sure that second one is under the bucket. It's so similar to Precious Child, because it's really hard. Precious Child, for me to get Precious Child to fade is tough. But I also am never really worried about Precious Child burning over, and I feel that same thing there. Color me surprised. I didn't expect, I expected it to be a straighter Berg. I did not expect it to be Precious Child off the shelf. That's kind of cool. So we love doing videos like this. Is there a disc out there that you'd like, hey, I think this could be good for beginners, or you should talk about this disc, whatever it may be? Let me know in the comments down below. Berg lovers, I hope this was better. Sorry if it wasn't. I tried really hard. But congrats to MVP. This disc is cool. I really like it. I think it was really fun. You know, sometimes imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, or flattery is, what? however that phrase goes. Really, really fantastic. I don't think I'm joking when I say that it's going in the bag. It's good. So it's going in the glow bag. And we'll see if it ever progresses in the main bag. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're going to leave you with the birdie.